Okidoki. Do I think Zone 100 is a bad anime? No, I love this show. I think it's such a fun series that also has a lot of really poignant moments. Something you've come to expect if you've seen Haro Aso's previous work, Alice in Borderland. Do I think the delays have hurt Zone 100? Maybe? Honestly, I couldn't tell you. I have done no research into how well received or successful this anime is because that's not what this video is about. Do I think Zone 100 stays as strong as the beginning? Now that's something I want to explore. Zone 100 Bucket List of the Dead is an anime about Akira, a salary slave that is given a second chance at life during the literal end of the world. It's basically the idea of wanting to escape from a soul-crushing workplace and finally having time to yourself, but instead of moving to the country or something, it's a zombie virus breaking out and giving you the ultimate reason to not go to work tomorrow. I think we can all agree that Zone 100 has an amazing introduction. Even on sheer concept alone, it's already a banger. While I am currently job hunting because YouTube is not going to be profitable for a while, I, like many others, have had a job they hated. Those mornings of waking up, realizing it's another day in the office, dealing with annoying customers and terrible co-workers, which is amplified for anyone that lives in Japan, a culture known for overworking their employees, wonderfully dubbing their most egregious examples as Baraku Kigyo, or black companies. There's this really great metaphor that permeates the entire series, where we compare our main character to the titular rotting brain eaters. There's quite a few examples, but the two I want to focus on are the noodle eating scene and the train barrier scene. The noodle one is quick and simple. A television shows a zombie slurping the head contents of some poor victim, which cuts to Akira slurping instant noodles out of a cup. Just a really great visual metaphor. There's not much to say as it already paints the picture of how it feels to be stuck in an abusive workplace. The train barrier scene, while also visual with this shot here of Akira's lifeless face being illuminated by the passing train, isn't what I want to focus on. It's actually the dialogue right before it.
ああ、これ、邪魔だな。これがなかったら、明日会社、行かなくて済むのに。
What an absolutely heart-wrenching line. Even clipped out of context, it lets you know exactly how tired and drained of life Akira is, comparing another day's work at this horrible company to jumping in front of a moving train. While a lot of us probably haven't faced quite the same level of abuse that Akira has, it's still a feeling that is shared by many. Which makes the switch from lifeless monochrome to vibrant paintball-esque blood splatter all the more cathartic, as Akira releases himself from the shackles and destroys the literal aspect ratio that is confining him. This is a great scene, but I imagine a ton of people have already talked about it to death, so I'll just agree and say, oh my god, it's a work of pure art! And focus on another scene. What truly makes the beginning so amazing is the combination of the first and second episode. Episode 1 is the initial low and high points, the absolute euphoria of being free to do whatever you want, while episode 2 is what I would call Akira coming back down to earth and taking a moment to rethink the situation he's in. We have both the talk from Miss Risk Analysis Shizuka questioning why Akira is putting himself in danger only to restock on beer, which, by the way, a great introduction, we all love Shizuka. But the one that really smacks Akira with a reality check is his run-in with the Korsakas. When we first meet them, we get this very standard reaction to a zombie apocalypse. A couple trapped in their own home, basically having a breakdown over what they think is their last moments. That is until Akira comes in and jump scares them. They chat for a little, Akira tells them he's going on a shopping trip, and they ask him to buy some toilet paper. 2-ply. It's really nice and lighthearted after what was basically them crying their heart out just a few seconds ago. Reminds you that Zone 100 isn't really a serious zombie story, it's just an excuse for our characters to get into wacky scenarios. Except, I just lied to you. When Akira returns from the convenience store, he climbs up the pipes, ready to greet the Kosakas and invite them over for drinks, only to be hit with
Kosaka-san?
This is what fuels the writing of the zombie bucket list, 100 things I want to do before becoming a zombie, which is one of the most beautiful anime scenes I have witnessed from 2023. The enchanting music playing over Akira as he comes to terms with his own mortality, deciding to spend what is potentially his final days doing the things that he's always wanted to, but was never able to because of societal responsibilities. And when he really thinks about the one thing he wants to do, we get this short flashback of a farmer tending to his crops, followed by Akira writing down bucket list number 31. It's just something that hits so close to home, for myself and many others. I think you can understand why I hold the beginning of Zom 100 in such high regard. It's such a beautiful introduction to the series that is both written and directed with such care and detail. Which brings me back to what this video is actually about. I want to talk about the other two arcs that Season 1 covers, the truck stop arc and the hometown arc. I want to see how they compare to the first two episodes of Zom 100. You might notice I haven't mentioned the episodic stuff. While they're oh so great, I love the Kensho Rescue and Aquarian episodes. I'm not going to compare multi-episode arcs to what are often self-contained chapters. They serve different purposes, so I'll just focus on the two I mentioned. The truck stop arc is basically a return to Akira's PTSD, revisiting the workplace trauma that had emotionally crippled him for 3 years. In writing, this should have been a great arc. Trauma isn't something you fix in one day, so seeing how Akira is still affected by it, alongside Shizuka's own childhood trauma, should have been another banger. And while I love these aspects of the truck stop arc, there's also one major caveat that I simply can't get over. Chief Kosugi. The problem I have with this arc is that it tries to condense all the emotions from the concept of workplace harassment and personify it through a rather lackluster antagonist. What I'm trying to say is that Chief Kosugi simply isn't that good of a bad guy. While previously he was merely a cog in what made the beginning of Zom 100 so bone-chilling and realistic, having him by himself to carry all the weight of Akira's trauma just doesn't work as well. There's really not much you can say about Kosugi as a character besides being a pretty manipulative bastard. We don't know anything about him besides his relationship with Akira. There's no past, no discernible character traits besides what is needed to show how despicable he is. He's very much an empty shell, or more accurately, a lifeless obstacle for Akira to get over. He's neither charismatic nor terrifying, coming off more cartoonish than anything, especially with his decades-old women belong in the kitchen misogyny.
じゃあ愛想よくしろよ。愛想振りまくか胸揉ませるか。それぐらいしか女の価値なんてねえんだからよ。
It's really Akira who is carrying the emotional weight of this arc. We're watching from an outsider's perspective on a very personal experience that unfortunately goes up and down in effectiveness. I think you can argue that because I have never had a job as bad as Akira's, I can't relate as much to having a truly awful boss or superior, but I also think more could have been done with Kosugi to really hammer that feeling home. This is very subjective, so I imagine there's a bunch of you in the comments right now saying that this arc did connect with you, that I'm wrong and stupid and should be eaten by a zombie. I get that. I don't want to downplay Akira's trauma. This is simply me being critical on Kosugi as an antagonist. It's still a fine arc, I just can't help but compare Kosugi to the emotional distress I felt during that first episode. It just doesn't hit as well. Now, to not sound too much like a negative Nelly, I'm going to move on to the hometown arc. If you think this video is just going to be me complaining about everything post episode 2, stick with me for a bit longer. let me cook a little. Although you might have already guessed how I feel when you remember which bucket list entry I focused on at the start of the video. This arc has a really great scene where Akira asks his dad about what his childhood dream was, and he responds with this monologue about how small the Earth is when seen from the depths of space. How all your life experiences make you realize how small your perspective was in the past, learning more about the world the more you venture into it. Simply put, Akira's dad wanted to be an astronaut. A simple, childish dream that everyone used to have, but a character detail that humanizes him to both Akira and us, as we enjoy the beautiful night sky with a drink in hand, finally being able to cross off entry number 31. I don't think I need to go too deep into why I love this scene. The idea of reconnecting with your parents after you've been away for so long, it's beautiful, and it once again hits close to home. But like the truck stop arc, there is also an antagonist we need to talk about. Kanta was a past classmate from Akira's university, dropping out after 6 months and basically becoming a NEET. We get to see a flashback of what was happening with him before the zombie apocalypse broke out, disgruntled with job searching and feeling left behind by society, until said society fell apart. It's pretty easy to figure out that Kanta is meant to be a parallel to Akira, with both of them deriving great joy from no longer being shackled by responsibility. They even create similar bucket lists, so cute. I was a little worried because this flashback is a bit short, and he also has that same cartoonishness with how evil he is, wanting to overrun the village that's sheltered him with zombies. But there's a bit more here than you might realize. An interesting difference I saw in Akira's and Kanta's zombie chase scenes is that while Akira breaks the aspect ratio to free himself from the confines of his current life, Kanta actually zooms in until he basically swallows the camera for a transition. I say it's interesting because it feels like Kanta is not just swallowing the camera, but perhaps in opposition to Akira, swallowing the aspect ratio that confines him, so that Kanta becomes the one that confines others. Which matches with how Kanta uses his second chance at life, terrorizing the village and in a way consuming their freedom. Which we'll come back to because I think there's something more to this. After Akira defeats Kanta by tricking him with Hollywood makeup, which, by the way, is an amazing way for Akira to embrace the constant zombie metaphor that shows up across the series. Previously it was just him overcoming the obstacle of not wanting to be a corporate zombie, but now it's Akira willingly becoming a zombie on his own terms to overcome the oppressor. I wasn't sure where to fit this, so tangent over back to Kanta. After Akira defeats Kanta and he gets bitten by a zombie, we get this great back and forth between them, with Akira questioning Kanta's true motives, calling out how his bucket list was actually pretty shallow. See, while Akira had that reality check in the form of Shizuka and the Kosakas, Kanta is only getting a reality check now, right when it's much too late. When I previously said Kanta ate the aspect ratio, some of you might have noticed how the screen never goes completely black, or that transitioning to the next scene shows that the black bars are still very much there. Guess who just lied to you again? Kanta had never escaped the confines of the black bars or society. In fact, he had been forcing himself to act as this cartoonish villain because he just hadn't figured out what he actually wanted to do with this second chance. Which is what makes it all the more heartbreaking when we realize that Kanta had said what he wanted at the very beginning. It's just that neither the audience or Kanta was truly listening.
なんも考えずに毎日友達と市民プール行ったりやりたいことだけやってた小学生の夏休みに戻りてえな。俺の本当にやりたかったことは友達と市民プールで遊びたかった。
Kanta had missed his chance, both during the zombie apocalypse along with way back in the past, running away when Akira tried to invite him out to eat. The difference between Kosugi and Kanta is that While Kosuke never offers anything besides being a very rudimentary obstacle for Akira to overcome and develop as a character, Kanta does the same thing while also exploring an alternative to doing whatever you wanted during the zombie apocalypse. The tragedy of Kanta's character is what elevates the hometown arc. Do I think Zone 100 stays as strong as the beginning? No, it goes up and down. It's pretty hard to beat that amazing introduction. Do I think Zone 100 has moments that are as strong as the beginning? Well, I think I've answered that question very clearly. And thanks for watching. Again, I don't hate Zone 100. I feel like I need to make that especially clear. This video is simply me offering what I believe is valid criticism, while also praising what makes Zone 100 resonate with so many people. This is how I feel, so I'm absolutely fine with people disagreeing with me and saying Kosuke served his purpose well and never needed to be more than that. I just hope you will at least think about what I've said seriously. And I hope we do get a season 2. If you're still here, I hope you enjoyed. Like and subscribe for more videos, check out my Discord and Patreon in the description below, please join my Discord, I am so lonely. Thanks again for watching, and I hope you all have a good rest of your day.